Those of you that follow my videos already know that I love the Tampa Bay area, but for those of you that are new to my videos, I think it's an amazing place to live and I'm happy to share it with you. But let's be real, it's not for all y'all.
You think I'm kidding, it's not a joke.
If you're planning to move to the St. Petersburg area, I'm giving you 7 things that you need to know before moving here, and I'm not sugarcoating it. So let's get into it right now. Welcome if you are new to my channel and new to me. I'm Morejon and I make videos all about what it's like living in the Tampa Bay area, covering the best neighborhoods and things to do so you can get a real feel for what it's like living here. And if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and ring that little bell because we have a ton of great content to share with you and you're not going to want to miss it. And if you're thinking of moving to the Tampa Bay area, I am a licensed realtor, so see that number on the screen. Give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email because my team and I would love to help you and your family find your next home. The idea to make a video like this is not to deter you from moving to a great city like St. Pete, rather to inform you on some of the things that you may not have thought about. See, I get calls from many of you looking to relocate here on a weekly basis, and I get it. There is so much to know about a city, and I want to show you everything because let's face it, there will be some of you that love living here and some of you that it's really not your cup of tea. While I love going skiing, I can't picture myself shoveling snow or walking my dog on a freezing morning. Heck, I can barely walk my dog when it drops to the mid-40s around winter or in winter here. So to wrap this intro up, I'm not digging up data on the so-called bad areas or stats about the job market or even the fact that one day soon I will have to face the facts. Tom Brady will retire and take Giselle to Miami and good old Tampa Bay Bucks will just be a mediocre team again. And that's okay. I'm simply sharing a list of top concerns that comes from the families that we help relocate here week after week. And I know they come from real fears, including the unknown of a new city.
We shouldn't fear the unknown. We should embrace it.
It's a great list, and for those of you that don't know about St. Pete, it's time to go to school. Let's kick things off with the fact that it is pretty rare to find new construction communities in the St. Pete area. In fact, other than about one new townhome community that recently popped up, I couldn't tell you one off the top of my head. That's because the area has been developed for decades. St. Pete, it's not a new city. It's surrounded by water with our beautiful beaches bordering the west coast, the intercoastal waterways, and of course the eastern border and downtown areas sitting on the Tampa Bay. In Tampa, you will find new construction popping up all over the northern and southeastern areas, creating new suburbs. But in St. Pete, there is no more land to expand. Because of this, St. Pete is known for attracting 2 types of home buyers. Those that like the historic homes or don't mind a little renovation to make the home fit their style, or those that want a maintenance-free lifestyle with condo living. The new gem is the downtown St. Pete area, and it's exploded with new growth with tons of restaurants, museums, and shopping all along the waterfront. This new growth has brought a ton of condo developments with a nice variety of options. If you like condo living, the downtown area is the place to be, but it is also a hot spot, and it's not as affordable as some wish it could be. There is one saving grace that I want to mention that might work out for some of you, however. And many of the popular communities like the Old Northeast or Snell Isle, which are 2 of my favorite by the way, you will find custom builders knocking down older, smaller homes and building custom homes. So if you fit that profile, there is new construction for you, but to be clear, we don't have new master plan communities. For these reasons, if you aren't much for historic homes, which are beautiful FYI, or you need more room than what a condo can offer you, St. Pete may not be for you. The second on the list, and yes, this one may be silly, but our beautiful beaches and relaxed living may not be for you. While not all of the areas is surrounded by beaches, it's Florida, and we have a very beachy, relaxed vibe. You are literally surrounded by water, and most everyone has a sun and fun type mentality. My brother-in-law, for example, he lives up in Massachusetts, about an hour outside of Boston, and he loves to go to the White Mountains in New Hampshire to go hiking. I couldn't pay him to set foot in the sand down here. He said something about the sand in his toes that he can't stand, and getting in the beach water, no chance. He's a mountain man and that's it. No surprise, our weather heats up a bit in the summer, so it's pretty normal to dress down to stay cool, and we just keep things simple down here. Flip-flops and sandals, they're part of your year-round dress code, and yes, you will have those flip-flop tan feet if you're local. But then again, it may not be for you. Okay, so the next 2 are touchy subjects and can be deal breakers for some of you folks, so let's talk about it. But right before we do, if you enjoy my videos, please leave a comment because I love hearing from you, and head over to my channel, Tampa Florida Living, after this video if you want to learn more about the area. So, touchy subject number 1, politics. I mean, they say never to talk about politics, so let's do it. With our Governor Ron DeSantis at the helm, our state clearly has a Republican ring to it, but let me remind you, he barely made office. Why? Because Florida is such a mixed bag of people from all over, many different backgrounds and beliefs, that it's indeed a swing state. I mention this not to stir the pot, but to give you an understanding of what the locals see and feel. While I can't ever imagine everyone perfectly getting along in regards to politics, the political climate here is pretty mild. It's not a New York, California, or Texas where you know where the majority lies. It's pretty even keel here, which I actually like. Everyone coexists with their own beliefs, and I say this again, that may not be for you. You may not want to see a pride parade or know that there's a nearby gun show at the convention center. St. Pete, it pretty much has it all. And while probably not as much of a touchy subject, coexisting with tourism has its own set of issues. If you plan on living in the St. Petersburg area, it's important to understand you will share your city with tourists most parts of the year. And St. Pete and the Tampa Bay Area, it's a hotspot for visitors. It is seasonal, however, so you will notice that busy time for the snowbirds, you know, those of you that come down here from the colder states trying to escape the snow, they visit primarily between the months of November and March. See, what's funny to me is that they leave, and that's right when things start to warm up. And being from here, I don't go to the beach often in the winter anyhow. My kids live at the beach between April and September, so it really all works out perfect. While coexisting with tourists is truly not that bad, I would say the 2 things that can be bothersome is the increase in traffic and getting a dinner reservation. During the snowbird season, the excess visitors make traffic a little busier than normal, and honestly, locals know who you are because you drive pretty slow and have no clue where you're headed. Popular restaurants get busy, and it can be a little annoying if you have to wait for reservations where in the off season, it's really no problem getting a seat. So again, if this is a no-go for you, then you may not want to live in St. Pete, but honestly, I always say we get to live where others come to vacation. Let's piggyback off of traffic for a second because this gives us another thing you need to know about, and that's our lack of public transportation. Sure, if you live in downtown St. Pete, it's pretty walkable or bikeable, and you have access to all of the looper trolley, which will get you around most places. But if you leave downtown, public transportation is nearly non-existent. If you're planning on living anywhere in the Tampa Bay area, you need to own a car or a vehicle to get you around. People coming from major metros may not have needed a car where they're from, but you will here. The good news is that there's decent parking in most places that you'll be driving to. In some areas, you will see street parking, but for the most part, things like grocery stores and restaurants, they'll have ample parking. Reflecting back to the previous issue with the seasonal tourists, the roadways can get busy trying to accommodate the locals and those visiting. The next one is probably the most asked about and covers a couple of different topics. Let's talk about the St. Petersburg weather. Starting with the basics, over the course of the year, the temperature typically varies from 56 degrees to about 89 degrees and is rarely below 46 or above 93 degrees. Outside of the summer months of July through September, the weather is pretty mild. During these months, you will see the highest humidity and the most rain. Pretty much every day, it's about a 40% chance of rain.
I don't know what your idea of a good time is, but this ain't it.
But it's usually quick-lived and the sun pops out again. St. Pete actually has the title for the most consecutive sunny days. In fact, it averages 361 sunny days a year and has the Guinness Book of World Record for 768 consecutive days of sun. So now that you have the basics, let's get in a little bit deeper. And what about hurricanes? Hurricanes are a real threat. But let's take a look at where Tampa Bay is located on the map of Florida. We're tucked away on the west coast of Central Florida. Hurricanes mostly come off the coast of Africa, meaning that they either hit the east side of the state first or swing around the south of the state, and it's pretty tough coming around the southern tip of the state and making the perfect U-turn into Tampa Bay. Not totally impossible, but very, very low chances. So with that said, you always should have an evacuation plan, which mine looks like packing up and heading to the Georgia mountains 6 hours away. But FYI, in 4 generations of my family living here, we have never had to evacuate a hurricane, and you have like a week's notice, so somewhat can plan as needed. This conversation usually leads into the conversation of flood zones, as Florida is pretty much a floating state. If you dig 6 feet down, you get a pool. You will hit water. With that said, flood zones are based on the elevation of your home or the property from sea level and the risk associated with your home flooding. They rate each property's unique flood risk by looking at things like your property's distance to a flooding source, your elevation, the types and frequency of flooding in the area, and property characteristics. FEMA will rate your property's flood zone, and if you're in a flood zone that starts with the letters A or V, you are required to have flood insurance. If you're in another zone, then you're not required to have flood insurance, but you can definitely have it if you want to. Never assume a property is in a flood zone, as there's many variables that go into the ratings. For example, I live 1 block off the river in Tampa, and I'm not in a flood zone, which you would think I would be close to a major water source. While many of these topics I covered were not exactly bright spots of living in St. Petersburg, please understand, I am a huge fan of the city, and I truly believe the pros easily outweigh the cons. Don't make a decision just from this video. Make your way over to my channel, Tampa Florida Living, and check these videos out because they show you all the great things about living here. And if you've decided that none of these things are really deal breakers and you want to move to the Tampa Bay area, see that number on the screen, give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email because my team and I would love to help you find the perfect home for you and your family. So until that next video, I'll catch you later.